Hi, everyone, and welcome. I am Julie with the Recap with Julie. Tonight, we are going to be doing a full recap on the Aubreigh Wyatt case. If you're not familiar with the Aubreigh Wyatt case, I'm going to give you all the details first, and then we're going to get into some pretty huge updates that we've had this past week in the case. Still more to come, but we will definitely be following this. So please take a moment, hit subscribe and follow along so you can stay updated with us as well. So as you know, the picture here is Aubreigh, and Aubreigh Wyatt was a 13-year-old little girl, and she's with her mom, Heather Wyatt, in this picture. Heather has been her voice, has been her champion since she passed away. So Heather unfortunately lost her daughter Aubreigh in September of this past year. Aubreigh was 13 years old and she sadly took her own life. It's been absolutely devastating for everyone involved in the situation, but it has come out that apparently Aubreigh was severely bullied for the last few years. Her mother tried to deal with this for quite some time. The school was apparently trying to deal with this as well. There are a lot of kind of rumors, speculation, things like that going around on the internet about this situation, but it does appear that the four alleged bullies involved in the situation, nothing has been done. And Heather is trying to become a voice for her daughter, as well as a voice for basically just all kids. She wants to become an advocate for bullying, an advocate for mental health with kids. She's gone after the big social media companies like Meta, trying to kind of make changes for parents to become more aware of the situation with their kids and what's, out there on social media. And she's having a hard time. So we're going to get into the whole situation. I've got both cats running around here with me. Perry and PJ will be joining us apparently tonight as well. But let's get into the whole recap. And then we will get into the updates involved in the case. So, like I said, Aubreigh was a 13-year-old little girl who took her own life, unfortunately, in September. When that happened, her mother started coming forward on social media, and eventually it just kind of took off. There were some kind of pivotal moments that made that happen, that made this such a huge case. And one of them is that recently the situation ended up getting so much worse for Heather because a judge ordered her to shut down all her social media accounts, and she was not able to share Aubreigh's story because of being sued by the alleged bully's parents. Now, we'll get more into that, but I just wanted to kind of sum that up for you so you could kind of understand why things kind of took off the way they did. So this is Aubreigh. Aubreigh was a vibrant, bubbly, happy little girl, but unfortunately was having some issues. And one of those issues was unfortunately being bullied. So she was born March 17th of 2010. She was in the 8th grade. She was living with her family, doing the best that she could. She did post on social media. She did have a TikTok and things like that you can go on and see some of her videos. And it does appear, from what I can gather on the internet, that the girls that were bullying her, she was off and on friends with. So I'm going to refer to them as the alleged bullies or suspected bullies as we go through this, because as you know, nothing was proven in a court of law. And we have not heard their sides of the story. So I'm just going to refer to them as either alleged or suspected. The alleged bullies, everyone has become internet sleuths and discovered their names on the internet. So their names, unfortunately, have been blown up all over the internet. Their addresses have been leaked, their school they went to, the activities that they attended, everything in their life has been spewed around on the internet, and it has turned extremely, extremely negative. I think people fail to remember that they are also 13-year-old little girls. They don't have, as you know, a developed frontal lobe. They're not making good decisions, but it is not a reason for grown adults on the internet to take to bullying them in return. And that's just my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But because of the attacks on the 4 alleged bullies, Heather Wyatt was unfortunately taken to court. She was sued. Now, we're going to get into that as well, because the bullies' families actually did drop the suit just days before she was supposed to go to court. But I will give you some more information on that as well. We have to get into the situation first. So a lot of people ask about what the bullying situation was. We don't have a lot of details on that because Heather hasn't shared it. That's one thing that Aubreigh's mother didn't do, was name the girls that were doing this on her account or kind of blow up the situation. She's given little bits here and there, but mainly it was the girls' schoolmates who were kind of exposing names and activities and examples, but also just people digging around for information on the internet as well. So I'm just going to show you this. So this is a little bit of information on the situation. So these are a couple text messages that Heather did share that she received from Aubreigh. Now, the first text message in this was actually received in 2020, October 15th, 2020. So this just goes to show you how long this situation was going on for. So Aubreigh was involved in the bullying situation for years, like I said, but it does seem like they were friends at times and then not friends. And the whole situation just became too much for her. So this message that I'm going to read you was from 2020. Aubreigh writes her mom, Heather, and says, "Please check me out. Today is so bad." And she's talking about school. So she's in school. Heather's probably working and Aubreigh wants to be picked up. Heather writes back and says, "What's going on? I can't leave right now." And Aubreigh writes back and says, "Everything, please, please." And I'm going to let you know, I did black out the alleged bullies' names just for their anonymity. I know everyone knows the names, but just to make myself feel better, I do not want their names posted, so I blacked them out. So she writes back and says, like, literally blank is so bad and mean that I was super upset. And Mrs. Allen was like, "What's wrong?" And I said, blank. And just today is bad. And she said, "I don't even know why you were friends with blank. She's so mean. You shouldn't be. And today is horrible. Like, please, I'll do anything. Maybe at one, could you please?" So she is literally begging her mom to come get her. I'm sure it absolutely broke Heather's heart. This was not the first time Heather has received text messages like this. She knew that was going on with Aubreigh. A couple of things were happening. She was hoping the school was helping in taking care of the situation. She also wanted Aubreigh to be able to deal with the situation on her own. She didn't want to always pull her out of school, like any good parent would feel that way as well. So she was hoping Aubreigh would be able to handle the situation on her own. So the next slide in here is a picture later on, and it is a picture of Aubreigh that she texted her mom, and it is showing the side of her face. So apparently one of the girls had slapped her in the face, and she sent the picture to her mother, and her mother starts off the text by saying, "They better be dealing with this girl who did this." So Aubreigh sends the picture and she writes, "I don't think he is," meaning the principal. The mom was asking, is the principal dealing with this? And she says, "I don't think he is. It's because it's blank Noblin." So the daughter, or I should say, one of the bullies is the daughter of this man. So this is Dr. Monty Noblet. He's the assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction in Jackson County School District. So the school district basically next door. He is the assistant superintendent. So being a teacher myself, I know that if you were in a school system and you have the daughter of a superintendent in your school or in your classroom, you unfortunately know you have to handle that situation a little differently. Unfortunately, I think that's maybe what happened in this situation. I can't say for sure. I'm just guessing on a lot of this because obviously the school has not spoken out on this. But Mr. Noblet was the father. So they were well aware of what was going on, apparently. But the school, according to Aubreigh, was not handling the situation properly because of who the dad was. Now, the dad has caught a lot of heat about this, as you can imagine. And the picture next to his Dr. Monty Noblet pick from the school district is a change.org document that people had started to basically get him removed from his position as superintendent. So it's actually titled Monty Noblet Position Removal. And I screenshot this a while ago, and it was already at 115,000 signatures out of 150. I don't feel that this probably would ever happen. I can't imagine the school district, letting him go because of this. But as you can see, this is what people were trying to do to help Heather. He did not lose his position that I know of. He is still in that position. However, he has taken steps to kind of deal with the situation on his own. We'll get into that in a moment. Another thing that was going around was a rumor that this woman here, so this woman is the district attorney for the 19th Circuit Court District of Mississippi. Her name is Angel Myers McGrath, or McIlgrath, I should say. It was being rumored that she was actually the aunt of the Noblet girl that is alleged one of the bullies. This was actually turned out to be false. She is not an aunt, but it does look like she is a close friend with Monty Noblet. So it does look like there is a connection to the court system. So I'm sure she had no hand in any of what was going on, or at least that's my hope for it as well. So that was kind of a rumor that was going around that was false. Now, this is something else that was going around that I wanted to touch on first. So let me just make this big. So this picture, this is a Snapchat picture that was circulating. It unfortunately seems to have been circulating after Aubreigh had passed away. And people were trying to say that this was the girls mocking Aubreigh's death. It has now come out that that does not seem to be the case. In the court documents that I read for Heather Wyatt, so the 4 families of the 4 bullies, alleged bullies, were suing Heather. And what they were doing is they were suing her for defamation, slander, and negligence. And they took her to court, or they were going to take her to court, I should say. In the documents, this picture was referenced because this picture for weeks was going around and it was being used to say that the 4 alleged bullies were mocking Aubreigh's death with this picture. So what this picture is it is a doll, and the girls were holding the doll. It had some red paint or something on the face and the groin area to kind of look like blood. A leg was off, and allegedly they were making gun finger motions towards the doll. Apparently, this was not sent after Aubreigh's death. This was actually sent before. Not that that makes that a lot better, because it just shows the extent the bullying was taking before Aubreigh passed away. So this was going around on Snapchat, and apparently it was sent to Aubreigh, basically just more of the bullying. But in the court documents, it alleges that this was not sent before she passed away, and it claimed that Heather was aware of this. So that was just one thing that kind of came from the court documents that cleared a few things up. Now, when everyone on the internet found out that Heather Wyatt was going to be sued, it was the same time we found out that her social media accounts were allegedly or basically banned. So a judge ruled, because of this lawsuit, that Heather Wyatt was going to have to take down or privatize all of her social media accounts. Now, the reason for this was because what the 4 parents were suing her for. So they were suing for, like I said, slander, negligence, and defamation. They were suing for those 3 things, and they were basing it on social media. So the judge ruled that she would shut down her social media accounts until court, which was going to be July 18th, until the judge could review her social media accounts and see if this was actually happening, if she was, bullying or slandering these 4 13-year-old girls on her social media accounts. Everyone, of course, was up in arms that Heather was being silenced, including some pretty big TikTok users, some pretty big TikTok creators that I'm sure you're probably familiar with. So the first one is Bunny. So Bunny is Jelly Roll's wife. So the country singer Jelly Roll, this is his wife, Bunny. And she wrote, "Sitting here thinking about Aubreigh's mom being silenced. Our hearts are with you, as well as our platforms to be your voice." And on TikTok, there is a woman, her name's Ophelia, but she goes by Mama Tot. She also shared, and she has something like, I don't even know, 11 million followers or more. And she says, "Since Aubreigh's mama can't speak for her, court ordered, I suppose we will, right, Tater Tots? When their voice is silenced, use yours." So these are just a couple of the big creators that were sharing their voice and speaking for Heather when she couldn't. Now, they ended up going to court, but It's a little bit confusing because what ended up happening is on July 18th was her court date. And this was supposed to be with the 4 families of the alleged bullies. However, 2 days before court on July 16th, they withdrew the court case. So they dropped the charges, they dropped the suit. But the judge still ordered the court date of July 18th to review Heather's social media accounts, basically, because, like I said, she was basically banned from social media until the court date. And basically, the judge, because there was minors involved, wanted to review the case and see what was going on. So Heather did have to go to court. This is her and her attorney the day of court. When she went to court on the 18th, what ended up happening is the case was dismissed, but it can be brought up again. So it was dismissed, but it may end up going back to court. We're not sure just yet, but the judge did review her social media accounts and did find that she was not, defaming the children or harassing them or, just outing them on social media. She was not doing it with negligence. She was sharing her daughter's story. She was sharing about mental health with kids, but the internet were the ones that were kind of posting the 4 13-year-olds' names, addresses, everything else on her comment sections. So she has now been freed. She is no longer silenced. She's allowed to post now on the internet, and she has been. So her first posts were her basically thanking people for all the support that they gave. So she did go onto TikTok and she posted basically a thank you to everyone involved. And I'm going to play that for you. So let me just go into TikTok and share with you her video that she made. All right, so this is Heather's account. If you haven't followed her, this is her TikTok account. Let me see if I can just make it a little bit. No, that's the biggest I could do for you guys. So this is her account. So her name on TikTok is Heather Wyatt 715. She has 1.6 million followers now. So that's how you know it's actually her. But I want to show you one post in particular. So this is the video that she recorded as soon as she was able to speak and post again. This is what she shared. Meditate, meditate, save your soul for Jesus. Meditate. I'm on the wrong one. I want this one.
Guys, in the ever-loving words of Aubreigh, we're back, Batty Queens. But in all seriousness, I have cried so much today, and I'm not a crier, but my heart, like eyes blood dry. I am so thankful. My heart, there's no amount of words, there's no amount of anything that I can genuinely do to express my gratitude to all of you. The love, the support, the outpouring. Guys, me aside, you guys, when my voice was shut off, the fact that you guys were like, no, we will be her voice. But me aside, you guys fought for my baby when I couldn't. And I just have no. You're our people, you're our family, you're our village. And I'm forever grateful for you guys. You fought for us. You fought for our rights. You fought for what needed to happen, and you wanted to right a wrong. And I think that is the most beautiful thing in the world. And I am forever and ever grateful to you guys. I am so thankful for the love, the support, the outpouring of just everything, the shares, everything, helping. There's so much. This could go on forever, and I will do more. I will. I just needed to get this out here. I needed to thank you all. I needed to let you all know that just I am so, 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 so thankful. I was in a moment of feeling so alone and so distraught and wanting to give up. And I had an entire community and village of people show up for us and fight for us, whether it be on social media or showing up, everything, donating. I am so grateful to you guys forever and always. Forever and always. We love you so, so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys.
All right. So that is the message that Heather shared. Basically, the day she got home from court, as soon as she got her accounts back, she immediately went on and wanted to thank everyone for what they've done. Like it was a beautiful moment for her. She was extremely overwhelmed. I believe from reports there were about 75 people that showed up just to support her during her day in court. She was extremely overwhelmed by that. She didn't expect it, so that was so nice as well. Just the whole fact that people were there for her in her time of need, and she was extremely touched. So that's the video she shared. Now, I do want to share a couple things from the court day. So one of the things that came from the court session was this. The judge ordered that DCFS, so the Department of Child and Family Services, is going to be investigating this case. So they are going to look into Heather's children. So she has two other children. They're going to be looking into the safety of those two children, but they're also going to look into the safety of the 4 alleged bullies. They have been outed like crazy on social media. It's disgusting what people have been doing and saying about these 13-year-old kids. I know what they did was horrible, but the things people are doing in return to them are just as bad, if not worse. So they're going to be looking into that as well. But there's also stipulations that were put into place. And the stipulations aren't just for Heather. These are for the alleged bullies' families as well. So I'm going to read this to you. This is basically what the judge ruled as appropriate for social media content and what they're posting. So the first thing was no social media statements implying that anyone involved in the case bullied Aubreigh. So I'm just going to read that again. No social media statements implying that anyone involved in the case bullied Aubreigh. So Heather is not allowed to get on and accuse them of bullying her daughter. And it says, or that the girls or their parents had any role in her death. So again, Heather's not allowed to get on and say that her daughter lost her life because of these families or these 4 girls. Second, no publication directly or indirectly of the names of the parents, their minor children, or details that would identify them. So she's, again, not allowed to get on and name drop or, talk about the minor children's names or anything like that, which she wasn't doing anyway. Third thing, no harassing, stalking, or threatening of any parties in the case. Now, this one's important. So I'm going to read that again. No harassing, stalking, or threatening of any parties in this case. The reason this is important is because Heather actually filed a suit against one of the mothers of the alleged bullies back in, I think, October. And it's still an open case. She basically was trying to get a restraining order against one of the moms of one of the alleged bullies. We don't know any information about this just yet, but it is still an active case, and it's the same judge that's residing over that as well. So what exactly that is, we don't know, but that's why this is so important to this case, because this is basically saying no harassing, stalking, or threatening of any parties in the case. So this just doesn't protect the 4 alleged bullies. This also protects Heather and her family. Last one, their lawyers and law enforcement must be notified immediately of any threat to the safety and well-being of any of the adults or a minor child. This is important because this has been happening. I know it's shocking that people would threaten 13-year-old kids, but that's what's happening. The families have been threatened, the parents have been threatened, and the 13-year-olds have been threatened. And on both sides, it's not just a one-sided, but it definitely is directed more towards the 13-year-old minors who are the alleged bullies. So this has all been happening the last little while. And now that it's gone to court, the judge has ordered these stipulations, and they have to maintain these, or they're going to see themselves back in court again. And that's not what they want. That's not the purpose of all this. So these are all good things. These are all things that, will play into the protection of Heather and her family, but also the protection of these 4 minors who did such horrid things to Aubreigh. There is not a lot of details, like I said, out about exactly what Aubreigh went through or exactly how this played out, because Heather's not sharing it all, and she never did. She did not want anybody bullied or harassed or forced to do something like her daughter did. She wanted the opposite to happen. She wants basically protection for our young children. And so all of the internet attacking these alleged bullies is the opposite of what Heather was striving to achieve. And it ended up basically forcing her to go to court, unfortunately. Now, Heather did start a GoFundMe page, which took off. She had to change the total, I think, twice, because everybody was so generous in supporting this cause and helping Heather fight this cause. The money that's in the GoFundMe was used for her legal fees. I believe Heather was on like her third lawyer at one point. There was so much money involved in this because she has to defend herself, but she's also going to be going to court for her side of things as well. So she still has an active case open for the restraining order against one of the mothers of the alleged bullies as well. But she also wants justice for Aubreigh. So we don't exactly know what she's going to be doing for all of that. She's also gone to court in April. She was actually suing Meta and I believe a couple other big social media companies as well, because she feels that they're hiding the dangers involved for their children from parents. So she's trying to take a stand in that, and hopefully it goes somewhere as well. And I'm sure she'll have everyone's support. That is kind of where we are right now. Those are the big updates that we've had with this case. Not a lot has come out this past week, except for the court date and Heather coming back onto social media. Hopefully we'll hear more from Heather in the next while about this, but make sure you hit follow if you're interested, because I'm definitely going to be updating. As always, I'm coming to the comments, guys, to see what you guys had to share. I don't get to see it while I'm chatting, so I come to the end here. All right, we've got Kristen. She was bullied for 3 years and essayed by a male student. So there is a lot going. I got to put my glasses on to read the comments, guys. I'm blind. There's a lot going around about the essay situation as well. There are details out there about it. I'm not going to report on it because I don't know enough about the situation. And I don't know if Heather wants to talk a lot about the situation. So until she, does a recent updated post about it, I won't share about it. But it does seem like there were other things going on in Aubreigh's life as well that she was unfortunately having to deal with. And that was one of them. So yeah, Christina, thanks for sharing that. She unfortunately, yes, thank you. All right. And Tracy says, does anybody remember the Slenderman story and the young girls unalived a schoolgirl in the wood? Tracy, that was awful. And I don't know, I hope it has nothing to do with this situation, but I do remember that. And I remember what was going on around that. It was terrible. Yeah. And Pink Palm was just clearing up some misconceptions. Someone had asked why she took her own life, and she says she took her own life because of the ridiculous amount of bullying from the girls. So that's kind of what's going on. That and other things going on in her life, but it does seem like this played a big part in it, unfortunately. Payne says, and for her to be gone is just so overwhelming and sad for me and all her family. So I hope all those girls who bullied her, like you said, I'm not going to say their names, but I hope they go to jail. I love that. I love that you're not sharing the names. I don't feel like it's our place where they are minors to drop those names. Everyone knows who it is. They're schoolmates as well as, internet sleuths and everything else was already dropping those names. We all know who they are. The other thing that I'm going to say is in a lot of my posts, I do find it's probably younger people, but a lot of people are dropping the girls' names and asking for people to go mass report their social media accounts. I'm also not for that at all. I don't think that's right either. I also don't think they should be on social media. Just as a parent, if this was me, those girls wouldn't see social media until they were 18 years old. Like they obviously got themselves into some pretty big trouble because of social media and what was happening. So I think the least their parents should be doing is banning them from all those horrible things. But that's not what's happening as far as I know. All right, Cassie says, did you see the video of the alleged bully and her mom laughing about the slap on the face? Okay, I want to talk about this for a sec. Thank you, Cassie, for bringing that up. So I did see this video, and here's my problem with the videos going around, and some of the pictures too. There's no context around what's happened. There's little tiny snippets that are going around, and people are trying to make it sound worse than it is or read more into it than there is. This could be awful. It could be them actually laughing about the situation, or it could have been them talking about something else. They don't say Aubreigh's name. We don't know exactly what they were talking about. So I have a hard time with this. I don't share them just because of that. There's so much kind of speculation with things. Like there's been pictures posted saying, this is what they shared and it's not true. Like the picture with the doll, everyone was saying that came out and they were making fun of her death when in fact it wasn't. So I'm just waiting to kind of get a little more information or see a little bit longer video of that situation before I make an assumption on whether or not that's actually what happened. But thank you for bringing that up, Cass. Do you think that her mom was a single mother and that also affected her mentality? Personally, no. There are so many single parents out there who do fantastic jobs. So I don't believe so. I think her mom did the best that she could. So yeah. Oh, I got to bring this one up. Alexa says, what are your thoughts on Kendall Rich talking about Heather and her daughter? Not much. Should I just leave it at that? I think if you want an opinion on this, perhaps go watch the Dad Challenge podcast. He kind of summed up, I think, everyone's thoughts on Kendall and her opinion on Heather. I think anyone who can get on their platform and bash a mother who just lost her daughter in that manner is awful. I don't want to say too much. I don't know Kendall Rich. I've never watched her content. I don't know if it's for clout or if she actually feels that way or what it is. So I won't get too into it, but I just think it was absolutely awful. But yeah, I have seen some of those clips. And I did find the Dad Challenge podcast said it best with kind of his response to that, if you've watched that. And Cassie just summed it up with said, yeah, true. I don't even know where they found that video. Yeah, exactly. The whole thing is just, I don't know. There was a lot going around, a lot of videos, a lot of pictures that just seemed a little bit suspect, I guess I'll say. They did seem like they were taken out of context a little. People seem to really want to post things to fuel the hatred towards these 4 girls. I don't think it was necessary. I don't think you could make people hate them more than they already did. Whether or not these girls are going to be held accountable is the big question mark. So this was investigated by police. The police said there wasn't enough evidence to move forward in this, especially since Aubreigh wasn't here to testify, and everything was dropped. So that's why I'm saying the alleged bullying. A lot of this could have been 4 friends that unfortunately turned on another friend. And you know how nasty children can be at that age when they don't have their frontal lobe developed, just being catty and bitchy and, just being bad friends. We don't know. We don't know the whole context around it. And the police investigated and there wasn't enough. But I do feel like even if we can't get justice in the way that we want for the situation, I do feel like there's a little bit of justice in the fact that their lives will never be the same because of this. Their reputations are completely destroyed. Good luck getting a job in the town they live in. When they go to school, babysitting, good luck. Like families aren't going to want to have anything to do with them if they believe that this is what they did to Aubreigh. Getting jobs, going to university, like everything will be affected in their life because of this, as well as their parents, as well as their families. Like whether or not justice is served through the justice system, I do think that because of the publicity of this, I do think their whole lives will be affected by this. I really do. And I'm sure other people would agree to that too. All right, Cassie says, is it true they have reopened the investigation into Aubreigh's death, or is that speculation too? And unfortunately, this isn't true either. So there were a bunch of fake news clips being shared. One of them was like a BBC clip saying that one of the girls, the Noblet daughter, was had been arrested. That was false. There's other clips going around saying that the investigation has been reopened. From what I gathered, it's false as well. Until Heather comes forward and says that, or we get actual court documents saying that, I'm pretty sure it's all going to be false. Or if one of the mainstream media actually posts it on their website. If you see things coming up like the BBC or the CNN kind of clip that was going around that the girls were arrested, go to their actual website and just type it in and you'll see that it doesn't pop up. It's all fake. I don't know why people do this, but they go on Canva and they make these, fake news clips just for views and clicks, and it's awful. Pink says, I think whoever started the thing where you wear pink on July 31st is so generous for making that for Aubreigh, because that just shows how people stood up for her when her mom was silenced. There were so many people that stood up for her. I don't think I've ever seen the like of it. And it's because of social media, especially TikTok. I do find that there's a huge community in TikTok with these big creators, and they stand up for things like this. There's a large amount of creators that do things like this, and it really gets the message out because they have so many millions of followers on there. It's amazing to see. Alexa says, Kendall said she reached out to other parties in the situation and she contributes to she continues to bash Heather. It's crazy. Yeah, and I just think it's awful. I don't think anyone in this situation should be bashed. I think there's so much more going on in this situation than we even know. And to make assumptions about the situation, it's just hard. Like it shouldn't be done. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm going to try and get on and do another live as soon as anything comes up with the situation. So make sure you do hit subscribe, and I will see you guys another night. So thank you for taking the time to sit with me, and I will talk to you later. Have a good night.